what I wanted to talk about today, which is all about blogging, which is kind of an introduction to the next, so if you count today, the next 3 presentations that I have lined up for you, which are all about blogging and SEO and writing, which is something that I really love, but I know that so many people really do not love it. So yeah, I thought for the next 3 trainings, first today you've got me doing a little introduction on it. Then next week we have the wonderful Karen, who's going to come in and talk about SEO, because she's a photographer who is also an SEO consultant and expert. And then the week after, we have the wonderful Fiona, who is going to come in and talk to you about copywriting, as she is a professional copywriter. So yeah, first you're going to have me just kind of really introducing the next 2 speakers for the next 2 weeks. Just a little bit on why blogging is still so important, and why you should not neglect your blog. So let's dive in. I'm just going to also have a quick check in on the comments. Yeah, we're all still good. We're all still going. Hopefully this doesn't freeze in the background. So let's jump in, and I will share my screen and pull up my presentation. So just one moment. All right, so let me switch to my presentation screen. Here we go. Okay, so right, so hopefully this is all working in the background. I can't see anymore. I'm now on screen sharing. Right, so the thing I wanted to talk to you about, and the theme of kind of the next few talks that we're going to have here in the group, is blogging still relevant for 2020 and beyond? Because I know so many people that, yeah, really hate it, don't want to do it anymore. So yeah, let's have a little talk about that. So I think it is. I love blogging. I actually love writing. It does take me a while to do it, but it is something I enjoy doing. And yeah, it's actually something, I think the reason that I enjoy it, or that I'm still motivated to do it, is because I've seen the results that it can have in terms of my business, bringing traffic to my website, and the resulting bookings that it's had for my business, and actually the feedback from my clients as well. So yeah, this is something that I have heard from so many people. It's the I've got no weddings this year, or you can exchange that with no weddings, no shoots, no bookings, so I've got nothing to blog about. And my answer to that is, if all you're using your blog for is an online portfolio, then you're missing out on so many opportunities. And I think that that's where so many people can get stuck or can struggle when it comes to thinking about blogging, is the idea that your blog is just this place. Because I think that's where a lot of us started off, where a blog was somewhere where we shot a wedding or an engagement shoot or whatever type of session it was. And then we came home and we blogged the session on our blog, and that was pretty much all the blog was used for. Occasionally there might be a blog post on there about something personal, or maybe the odd wedding planning post, but most of the time blogs were filled with essentially just an online portfolio of, here's my last wedding, here's my last shoot, rinse and repeat. And And then especially this year, because of COVID, because so many people aren't out shooting, they haven't got fresh content to put on their blog has just been completely forgotten. And then you also have photographers on the other end of the spectrum who are busy, who are working, and their blog is neglected simply because they're shooting so much, they don't have time to update it with all these new weddings. And so they're just not blogging also for that reason, because they don't need to put necessarily new weddings and shoots on there. But it's just not being used. So let's talk about that. So the reason that I believe the reason I put the title of this is, are you neglecting one of your most valuable assets? I believe the most valuable asset in your business is you. You are the most valuable thing in your business, because without you, if you don't look after yourself, you are the number one thing that you need to look after. Without you, you have no business, it doesn't function. But after that, after you've taken care of yourself, in my opinion, your blog is something that is really, really valuable. To me, more valuable than your Instagram, your other social media, because your blog is part of your website and it is something that you have control over. And why do I think it's so valuable? Well, one, you can use it to showcase your amazing work. You can use it to tell stories of real people that you've worked with. You can use it as a place to provide valuable resources and information to potential future clients, to existing clients. You can use it as a place to demonstrate your extensive expertise that you have. You can use it as a place to provide value to new and existing clients. And that's all before the obvious of actually using it as well as an opportunity to be found in organic search, so being found on Google when it comes to optimizing it for SEO as well. So yeah, some people I think can get a bit overwhelmed and get confused about whether they should be, what's the difference between blogging and optimizing stuff across your whole website with SEO. We have got Karen coming on to talk with you next week about SEO. But just one thing I will say in terms of blogging and SEO is that I think sometimes confusion can be that, or certainly for me, your website is your shop. And your website is there to serve a purpose. And your main pages of your website, your homepage, your about me, your pricing and information page, and your contact page, those are your kind of your key, your main pages. And they should be clear. They shouldn't be overfilled with information. It should be easy for people to find exactly what they're looking for, because your website is essentially your shop. So some people, when they come there, they might be happy to browse around for hours, but you'll also find some people, and you know, a lot of people describe wedding planning as very overwhelming. There's very few people who the whole wedding planning process is a complete breeze, that they find it relaxing and fun. A lot of people, it's overwhelming. So for the main, most important bits of information, it needs to be clear, clean, and easy to find. And if people can't find those things on your website, then there is a high chance that they can get frustrated and that they will leave before they have done ultimately what you want them to do, which is contact you. So the main purpose of your website should be to tell people what you do, how you can help them, and how they can book you. So I see your website as your shop. It's clean, people come in, they know what you're selling and how to get to the cash register to buy what you're selling. And I like to think of your blog as, you know how some places have like their kind of in-house magazine that you can pick up, you know, if you like the shop, sometimes you pick up the magazine that they also have, which has loads more information. It sometimes has like fashion shoots or lifestyle tips. Sometimes it has vouchers or all sorts of things related to what that shop is about. It adds value. It's something people don't go in there for it, but if they're interested in that shop, it gives them more things to be interested in what that shop, what that brand is about. It keeps them there longer, or it keeps them going back. It keeps them thinking about that brand, but it's not the reason they went there. And so I think of your blog a little bit like that. It's like your in-house magazine. So, you know, once people are there, if they want to know more, if they want to learn more, if they want to see more, they can go to your blog and read more, see more. It's something that adds value to their experience while they are there in your shop, essentially. So the most common way, as I've already touched on, that most people use their blog is to showcase their work. And this is great. I think your blog is an amazing way to showcase their work. And I think it is, in my opinion, is the best way to do this, over having just online. Some people have like portfolios. So using your blog as your portfolio on your website. So yeah, as I just said, a lot of photography website templates offer you the option to have like a portfolio or a gallery as a separate thing to your blog. I'm actually a really huge fan of sharing your work or having your portfolio as blog posts as opposed to having gallery pages or portfolio pages. And maybe Karen will talk about this, or you can send questions to her about this. The reason I prefer having blog posts act as portfolios are a few reasons for this. And they are, well, there's a few reasons. Some of them are linked to SEO. One of them is that these gallery pages or portfolio pages that you see often have little or no text linked to them. So that's not actually great for your SEO. Generally for SEO, you want to have, unless you're having them as no index pages, you actually want to have a good amount of text and images on a page, because, you know, if you want something to rank in Google, text is always going to be your friend. But even if you are no indexing gallery pages, the reason I really like having stuff as a blog post instead of just as a gallery is that with a blog post, you can actually tell the story of a couple, you can tell the story of the day, and people love to be taken on a journey, and they love to hear these stories of transformation. They love to hear the stories of other couples because it helps them to picture how their own day could be. And so if you can actually take someone on this journey with you and show them the photos, it really helps them imagine them being there and as if that was their wedding day, or how their wedding day would look. And if you can put them in that position where they're imagining you being there with them and capturing their wedding day, they're already imagining you as their photographer. And that's a really, really strong position to be if you're competing, you know, potentially against other photographers, or other, if you're a videographer, if you're a planner, whatever service you offer, if you're competing against other people for this client, if they're already imagining themselves working with you through your words of telling this other couple's story, you're putting yourself in a really strong position. Yeah, another thing, obviously, when you are blogging, you know, a past wedding or a shoot, you do have the option then of optimizing these posts for a specific keyword. So very common ones, obviously, when it has been a wedding or a shoot, that you can optimize those for specific venues or locations. Those are the most common ones. You could, if you've done a venue a couple of times, you could turn it into a guide of how to, you know, how to have a wedding in that particular venue. You can get creative with your ideas, but you can, you know, SEO optimize it for a certain term if you wanted to. You can then link related content to it as well to help strengthen it. And at the bottom, you know, if you've had this particular wedding at a venue that you really like and you really want to go back there, especially if it's a venue that you're trying to target, you can, you know, you can put your contact form at the bottom. If you can imagine, depending on the types of weddings that you shoot, or the types of clients that you work with, these types of posts, if you're blogging client work, I often actually have either, you know, a link to say contact me to book your own consultation, or even sometimes my contact form at the bottom, thinking that a lot of clients will share the blog posts potentially with people who are at their wedding. And if I'm trying to then target, so more, this is if you're shooting the types of weddings where they have maybe quite a lot of guests, and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe some of the bridesmaids or some of the guests are also potential clients, having a contact form at the end of this post to get them people to contact you for more inquiries is a great way to then boost, you know, how far or what you can get out of that blog post. So yeah, that's, you know, using your blog just, you know, basically as a portfolio, what you can do out of it. So that is, you know, what a lot of people do. But there's actually a lot more that you can use your blog for as well. So let's talk about that. So other ways that you can use your blog. So the first one is to target key search terms. So if we just look at that one, targeting key search terms, what do I mean about that? So what I mean is the things that your ideal clients might be searching for before they start thinking about booking a photographer. So you will know, or you should all know, who your ideal clients are and what sort of things that they might be turning to Google or whichever their search engine is. Most people it is Google. What are they likely to be searching for before they actually start searching for a photographer in particular? So could it be best places to elope in a particular country? Legal requirements for getting married in whatever their target country is, so Scotland, for example. Are they looking for the best outdoor wedding venues in Tuscany? Are they looking for inspiration for outdoor elopements? What is it that they are looking for? Even just how to elope, the best places in the Pacific Northwest in the US to have an outdoor wedding. You know your ideal client, your kind of target market, what sort of things before they even get to the point where they need a photographer, what other steps have they gone through that they've been searching in Google for? What questions do they have that actually you can almost certainly answer? And you know, you have a lot of knowledge. And if nobody else or few other people are actually answering these questions, and you are, then this is a really awesome way of getting ahead of the rest of your competition. Because if you're waiting until you're doing your optimization, your search, your search engine optimization for whatever your location is, wedding photographer or Lapland wedding planner, then at that point, the couple's already decided where they want to get married and what vendors they're looking for. So at that point, you're already then competing with other people who are targeting those same search terms. So the earlier you can become visible to them, the quicker you can get ahead of your direct competition. So that's a really great way of trying to come up with ideas of other things that they might be searching for so that they can find you sooner, and ideas of things that you can then start to blog about. And the other thing, other ways that you can use your blog. So it's not all about getting found on Google. I think everyone, and this was something that came up when I asked the question the other week, and this is why I have somebody coming to talk to you about SEO, but I also have somebody coming to talk about copywriting. So it was really interesting that a lot of people, or it was put in the group when I asked, what are your struggles when it comes to writing and blogging, that a lot of people said, I don't understand SEO. That everyone assumes that everything that you do on your blog, that it needs to be done. Everything needs to be done for SEO and to get new clients. And yeah, it's great. Getting new clients is really important, because without new clients, your business can't keep going, because you need new clients to keep bringing money in. You need new bookings. That is just the nature of the beast in the wedding industry. We don't have repeat clients. I mean, as great as it would be to have repeat clients, it's not so great for them if they're constantly getting married, because they're not choosing very good partners. So obviously we don't want repeat clients, because something's not going great in their life if they're getting married. Okay, yes, we want repeat clients in terms of vow renewals, maybe. Just take a quick sip because I'm getting a bit croaky. So yeah, I wanted to kind of challenge you to think that, yeah, not every blog post has to be about targeting SEO and finding new clients. Blog posts can also be about actually just adding value to the service that you're already providing for your existing clients, and also a little bit just letting people in a little bit more into your life and getting to know you a little bit more too. But let's talk mainly about the adding value to your existing clients. So what do I mean by that? So I mean, in a similar way to the last thing, to be honest, almost all of us have a vast amount of knowledge, not just related to how to take photos or how to, help couples plan a wedding, whatever it is that we do, but just all around, the whole area, of even just where we live, for example, especially if you work in destinations where people come to get married, but you forget often how much you know. And it's only when people start to ask you questions that you actually remember quite how much you know. So just for example, yesterday, two of my brides who I just booked for next summer messaged me to say they're going wedding dress shopping at the weekend, and did I have any tips for how to go shopping for their wedding dress for hiking. I did have a blog post that I wrote quite a while ago, that actually I'm in the process of updating, but I sent them the blog post link and a few tips. But it's that thing of just thinking, okay, well, actually, yeah, it's questions like these, how many times do you find yourself actually answering the same questions over and over again, either in emails or on calls with clients, even after they've booked you. Why don't you actually, keep a note of these questions and fill your blog with answers to these questions? So create resources that demonstrate all of this knowledge and expertise that you have that answers all these questions. And then, it's so helpful that when you can send these to your clients and almost preempt these questions that might be coming. And so what you can do, and what I do with these, and actually this couple literally have only just booked me, so they're really ahead of the game on wedding dress shopping. But once you've written, these guides, what you can do to save time, because I'm all about saving time, is if you have an automated workflow, which I really highly recommend, is that you can even add them into your automated workflow, because your clients maybe aren't going to go and check onto your blog all the time. Maybe they do follow you on social media, so when you post a new blog post, tell them about it on social media. I've written a new guide, or talk about that. But in your automated workflow, you can have at certain points that 6 months out from their wedding date, that you can send this blog post to them with a little nudge and say, oh, maybe you're thinking about this. 3 months before their wedding date, I have a trigger that sends them the blog post on timeline planning. So, it's all automated, but it makes them feel actually super taken care of, because at regular intervals, they get an email from me that just says, hey, how are you doing? Maybe this blog post might be helpful to you, because maybe it's time to start thinking about, how you're going to plan your ceremony, or how are we going to start crafting your timeline. And these are all things that are already written, they're on my blog. But it's actually providing all these extra valuable resources. The clients feel really extra taken care of. And it's just a way to use your blog, to provide an extra level of service above and beyond what they're probably expecting. And, it takes a little bit of time to create these posts, but actually a lot of the time you'll find that these are questions that you've answered a number of times before, like tips for, how to buy a wedding dress for your adventurous wedding. And so create a post about it. And then when okay, right after they've booked you, send them, a link and say, here's a couple of things to get you started, because I'm sure you're really excited about planning, because often as soon as photographers booked, one of the things that a lot of couples I have noticed like to do is then start shopping for their outfits. And so you can preempt these things, and it just shows an extra level of care, and it drives traffic to your website, which is also awesome. So yeah, that's a little bit of advice and some ideas of just other ways that you can use your blog, other than just having it as, here's my latest work, here's my latest wedding, here's my latest photo shoot, and then for this year, I'm not shooting anything, I've got nothing to put on my blog. So yeah, a little bit of homework for anyone who is interested, is to just have a little kind of idea session, and just kind of write down some ideas, look at some of the most common questions that you get asked, think about your ideal client journey, and think about how you can provide some extra value for your existing audience. Think about some really common questions that you could write blog posts that could answer. And, you know, just start coming up with some ideas already. So you don't have to write the post, just start thinking of some ideas that could be potential blog posts that you could put on your blog to help bring in new traffic or to help provide some extra value. And so then in the next 2 weeks, we have 2 really awesome guest speakers coming up. So I know next week we have Thanksgiving for those of you in the US. So it's going to be next Wednesday, I have the wonderful Karen who's going to come and talk to you about SEO. And if you can't make it to the live calls, which I do hope you can, because it means then we will try and answer any of your questions on the calls. But if you can't, I will post the replays in the group afterwards. But we've got Karen coming in next week on Wednesday to talk about SEO. And then on the 1st of December, which I think is a Tuesday, let me just have a look. 1st of December is a Tuesday. That's when Fiona's going to come and talk about copywriting, because I know that a lot of people kind of struggle with just actually I think sometimes just getting started with the actual writing and getting the words out. So those are going to be the next 2 talks coming up. So I'm going to turn my screen sharing off. I know I've probably got a bit of a delay, but I will just turn over and pop into the group and see if there are any questions. Let's just escape that. So in terms of the times, what time they're going to be, the one on Wednesday with Karen, we're going to just confirm the time tomorrow. And the one with Fiona, I have already put the event in the group, and it is going to be, I think, at 4 p.m. as well. But I have already set up an event for that one. So if you look under the events, and the other one on SEO with Karen, that will be confirmed at some point tomorrow exactly what time it's going to be. I do try and keep them in the afternoon European time, so that for those people who are in the US, I know it's sometimes quite early morning for you, but at least then it is in the morning. Okay, right, so hopefully that worked all right with the Zoom and it didn't cut out too much, but I will post the replay back here in the group. So if anyone does have any questions about anything, do pop them here in the chat, and hopefully I will see you all again soon for the next talk next week on SEO, which I'm really excited about, with Karen. All right, have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and speak to you all soon. All right, take care. Bye for now.